The Reds might be the most predictable of Australian sides, but they do provide a physical test. The Waratahs passed it and they will need to match that effort level against the Brumbies on Friday. Point 2. The red delight of having two no-10s in form. Bernard Foley was good for the Waratahs at the SCG. In fact, it's hard to remember a game where his kicking was so effective. His clearances from Waratahs territory had distance, and when he kicked the ball in behind the Reds' defence to turn their big pack around, he did so with accuracy and purpose. Looking good, Quade Cooper has impressed at the Rebels. Credit up. It wasn't so much a riposte to Quade Cooper's strong performance for the Rebels against the Brumbies on Friday, but an accompaniment for these of two completely different players who offered different things to the Wallabies. However, can anyone remember the last time there were two no-10s in form for the Wallabies to choose between? And Christian Leali'ifano is working away at the Brumbies, too. By contrast, the Reds are struggling. They looked disorganised in attack against the Waratahs, their passing was pedestrian or poor, and Bryce Hegarty got caught up in rucks on a couple of occasions when they needed him to be in the back line directing the play. The Reds play a collision sport, not an evasion. 1.3. What has happened to the Reds scrum? Blunted by the Highlanders, smashed by the Crusaders and matched by the Waratahs, the Reds set piece has not been the dominant force it was last year. Perhaps it was the SCG surface, which turned into a sandpit after every scrum, but the Reds could not generate the dominance they were probably relying upon here. It was perhaps Taniela Tupou's most frustrating night in Super Rugby. He dropped passes, lost the ball in contact, scowled at the surface and found Harry Johnson Holmes to be a dogged customer. The Tongan Thor has come back down to earth a bit this year. Point 4. Will Genia is the best player in Australia. Brilliant is the only word. Will Genia's second-half performance against the Brumbies in Melbourne was world-class, and that label isn't dished out lightly. He was fired up, accurate and relentless. They needed him to be, too, because at the first half it was his rival Joe Powell who had all the rhythm, playing his best 40 minutes for a while. Loading Genia is obviously relishing his rekindled partnership with Quade Cooper, and there seems to be a lot of chat in the Rebels' back line. Billy Meeks is a talker, Tom English is a talker, so the halves are getting a lot of direction out there, and Marika Korobiti and Jack Maddox are proving good enough to finish off every opportunity. The Rebels are good to watch. Point 5. There is a good chance of two Australian finalists at present. The Rebels and Waratahs both sit in the top 8, both with a game in hand. Both have shown enough to suggest they will be there at the end of the regular season. In New Zealand, the dominant Crusaders look like they could run away with it. The South African Conference is different. It looks very even, with every team capable of taking points off the others. That makes it less likely they will provide 3 teams to the top H8, as they did last year to the cost of the Rebels. It's a promising picture in a Rugby World Cup year. The Wallabies would benefit from 2 Australian teams being involved at the sharp end of the competition. Yes, it increases the risk of fatigue and injury, but players benefit hugely from playing in intense, pressure-filled matches. It's something Australian players haven't been exposed to enough. Australian Team of the Week 1. Harry Johnson Holmes, Waratahs. 2. Damien Fitzpatrick, Waratahs. 3. Alan Alalatua, Brumbies. 4. Rory Arnold, Brumbies. 5. Rob Simmons, Waratahs. 6. Ned Hannigan, Waratahs. 7. Michael Hooper, Waratahs. 8. Isai Sarani, Rebels. 9. Will Genia, Rebels. 10. Quade Cooper, Rebels. 11. Marika Korobiti, Rebels, 12. Billy Meeks, Rebels, 13. Samu Karevi, Reds, 14. Jack Maddox, Rebels, 15. Dane Haylett Petty, Rebels.